Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Tess from the Arty Crafty Place and welcome to my block printing project video. So this week I'm really excited to share with you one of my favourite projects to do with my printing block. So one of my personal favourites is to hand print fabric and sew cushion covers. And you may have seen that we launched a new patterned tile collection last week. So this got me really inspired to make myself a new set of cushion covers. And of course, I can never decide which pattern I want to choose. So I think I've just used them all. And I bought some really nice linen. So I've used linen and fabric paint to make my cushion covers. And this was a project that I had to share with you. So like I said, printing cushion covers is a personal favourite of mine. I have so many cushion covers. I don't even know where I'm going to put these, but I know I'll find a home for them. But this is such a rewarding way to use your printing blocks, and it's actually very cost effective and really easy to do. So I also wanted to show you how to use our new pattern tile blocks, because these were designed to be kind of standalone prints, but also use them as repeat prints. And these easily and effortlessly repeat, and it will make your printing look so detailed and professional, and actually it's very easy to do. So just to tell you a little bit about what I'm using today, I bought some gorgeous linen offline. It was $11.50 a metre and I can get 3 of these cushion covers out of it. So I thought that was great value. So I'm printing a 32 by 52 cushion cover. These inserts I actually just get from Dunelm and they're only £5. So this cushion is costing me something like £8.30 to make. But that is amazing for a linen cushion cover. So I just do a really simple design where I print the front and then I make an envelope opening on the back. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Now I am not a very skilled sewer. I have very basic sewing skills. So if you're like me, this project is perfect for you. But if you're more of an advanced sewer, please forgive me if I get this wrong. But it works for me and it's super easy. I'll show you what I've already done. I've done 2 cushion covers with our new tribal pattern block, which is this kind of lines and dots, just all different patterns, and these look really striking. So I've got a dark navy and a grey. I also did our new Mediterranean block in midnight and white on this lovely sky blue linen. And then my personal favourite of the range was this Moroccan shape with a flower insert. So this is a 2-part block. It's quite difficult to line up, this one. This is not as easy as the tiles. This one you kind of need to be a bit more precise. So this is not for a perfectionist, this pattern, because it is a bit harder to line up. But this one I printed in slate and white. So there's so many different ones you can do. Obviously I'm a sucker for blue and kind of dark fabric. So this is why I've kind of stuck to the blue and grey range, but these are going to look really good on other colour linens as well. So let's take a look at the equipment I'm going to be using today. So I have decided to print my cushion cover with our new abstract tile. So this is just a really beautiful block. It's got, you might say, petals or leaves or flowers. I mean, everyone's going to see what pattern it creates differently. But this is a really gorgeous one to create an all-over pattern. So this is going to give us a lot of colour and design on our cushion cover. I'm going to be printing this in midnight blue. Now, your fabric paint is important when you're printing coloured fabrics. The midnight blue is quite a dark colour, so this is going to work on this blue linen. But if you were printing with a light colour, it probably wouldn't show up. So on some of these cushions, like this white that I've been using our solid textile paint, so it's specifically for dark coloured fabrics. The slate that I've used here, this was just from our normal fabric paint range, and that's shown up well because it's a dark colour. But you just need to make sure that your colour is dark enough to show up on your fabric if you're just using our normal Blockcraft fabric paints. Otherwise, you need to be using a specific paint that's for dark fabrics. So I've got midnight blue, my abstract tile, I'm going to have my normal printing equipment, so my foam mat, my paint tray, and then I've got my linen fabric. So like I said, I'm not a professional sewer, but I'm making a 32 by 52 cushion cover. So my insert is 32 centimetres by 52 centimetres. So if you want to make the same as me, you're going to need 3 pieces of fabric cut. So I've got a piece for the front, then I've got 2 pieces for the back. Now, there's so many envelope cushion cover tutorials online, and I'll link some of them in the comments below. But I have made already 4 cushion covers using these measurements, and they've come out perfectly. I would advise that you wash the fabric first, obviously, as there might be some shrinkage. My cushion covers are already quite snug, so I wouldn't want them to go any smaller, so I've washed my fabric first. So the first piece of fabric I've got for the front, I have cut 34 width by 54 length. So I've got a 34 by 54 centimetre piece of fabric, and this is going to be my front. So I'll put all these in the comments as well. And my two back pieces. So you want them to be the same width as your front piece. So both of these are 34 centimetres wide. And then the length of them, one of them is 39 centimetres and the other is 31, just because you don't need them both to be the same size. One piece on the back is smaller than the other, and I didn't want to waste fabric. So my two back pieces are both 34 centimetre width, and one is 39 in length and one is 31 in length. So I'll write this all down so that if you're going to do the same as me, you'll know the measurements. But like I said, there's lots of different tutorials online, and you want to find one that works for you. Like I said, I'm not an advanced sewer, so I wanted something quite simple. I really love printing fabric that isn't pre-sewn. Obviously, I love printing pre-made fabrics, but printing something that doesn't have any seams or, folds or creases is so easy, and it makes your printing a doddle. So I love printing on fabric that is just plain, and I don't have to stick to any kind of measurements. I mean, you could print your fabric first and then cut it to size. I actually cut my fabric to size and then print it, so I know exactly how my pattern is going to look once I've sewn it. But you'll find this so refreshing that you can just print the whole piece and you don't have to worry about any corners or seams, because when you print over a pre-made piece of fabric, obviously if it's double-sided, it's going to have a hemmed edge or a seam, and this can give you a really uneven surface for printing. So if you have the ability to sew, you don't need a sewing machine for this, you could hand stitch. It will add an ease to your printing, and it will make your printing look a lot more professional. So I'm going to turn the camera around and I'm going to show you how I print my piece of fabric. So I'm ready for printing. You guys are watching me print backwards, which I hope is okay, and you can still see exactly what I'm doing. Now I've got my piece of fabric laid out. I've given it an iron. It's still got a couple of creases in, but nothing to worry about. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little look at how many prints I can fit on here. So I think I can fit like 3 and a bit going width, and then I can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 and a little bit. So you can either start in the middle and work your way out. I'm actually just going to start in the bottom corner and work my way up. And then if I have some half prints along the top and down the side, that really doesn't matter with this pattern, as it's just going to blend in. I don't have any particular edges that need matching up or anything. So I'm just going to print from the bottom and work my way up and see how it goes. I say it's really worth practicing with your designs, especially with a repeated pattern and a tile, just to see how the design works and whether you really want to space out your design perfectly or whether you're happy for some of it to go off the edge. Now I've got a padded table, but at home you'll have your foam printing mat, and you're going to print this exactly the same way as you would anything else. I'm going to tap my paint onto my block away from my fabric to avoid any splatter marks. I'm just using a large sponge dabber. And one thing that is important when you're printing cushion covers is to really make sure you've cut the fabric to exactly the right size. I spend quite a lot of time cutting my fabric to make sure it is perfect. And I'm just going to start in my bottom left-hand corner and work my way up the fabric. Now, I really wanted to show you how easy these designs are to repeat. This is part of our new pattern tile collection. So what I tend to do is I tend to put a little mark on my block to mark which way's up. Because when you're reapplying paint and things, quite often you can put your block down and pick it up a different direction. But with a patterned or repeat tile, it's really important you always print the same way. So I've just put a little paint marker on my block, so I know that this way is always facing up. And like I said, I'm going to start in the bottom corner. So I'm going to put my block down, and then I'm going to give it a good wiggle. Now this linen is a little bit thicker than some fabric that I print on, so I make sure that I hold my block down for a good 5 to 10 seconds so that the fabric has time to absorb the paint. So that came out gorgeously. So next print. Now, what is so lovely about these pattern tiles is that you can just use it on its own if you want to, it's detailed enough, but you can also repeat with them. And they are so easy to repeat with because all you need to do is just line the print up next to it. There's nothing to really match up or anything, so it doesn't matter if your spacing is a little bit off. But you're just lining it up right next to your last print. So you really need to look over the block, making sure you're really able to see, and you want to do this bit quite slowly. And then I'm just going to put my block down and up. And I'm going to give it a good wiggle again. And there we go. So I have seamlessly created that repeat, and you really can't even see where the two blocks were, where the two separate prints are. And that is the real beauty of these new patterned tile blocks. They are just so easy to repeat, and they, like I said, it's effortless to create that repeat, which is so nice in fabric, and it makes it very quick to do. So I'm going to print this whole row, and then I'll show you when I start the next one. So I've got to the end now, and I have got a half print that I need to do here, but that's absolutely fine. And like I said, because we haven't got any seams or anything, this is so easy to do half prints because you've got a completely smooth surface. So what I would suggest is, I've got a tablecloth on, so my tablecloth will just catch the paint that goes off the edge. But if you're using your foam mat, you can always put a piece of paper under there to catch the excess paint. But what I do is I just line my print up as I normally would, and half of my print is off my fabric, but that is absolutely fine. And then up. And then you can see that if I'd had a pre-made piece of fabric, like a cushion cover, to get right up to the edge is just nearly impossible. So this just really makes it that much easier to get a really lovely continuous pattern. So now with my next one, I'm going to be lining it up on the side of my fabric and on the bottom. So again, I'm just going to work slowly to put my block down, making sure the block is staying straight up the side of my fabric and on the bottom. And I'm going to put it down and up. And there we go. So that was really easy to do. So you're just lining it up next to it. Again, it doesn't matter if the spacing is slightly off. I'm just going to now print the rest of this fabric in my pattern, and we'll see how it looks at the end. So I'm now on to my top row, which again is going to be a row of half prints. But with this design, it really doesn't matter because the design is so repetitive, and it's almost quite hard to see exactly what the design is because your eye falls to different parts of the pattern. It's not going to matter that I'm going to have half prints like down the side here. You really can't tell. But if you're working with something like a tile, a square tile that had a pattern within a pattern. So sometimes when these tiles match up on all four corners, they also create their own pattern. You'll want to kind of mark it out and print your fabric so the whole design fits on and you don't have any half prints. But again, that's the beauty of cutting your own fabric and then sewing it. You really don't have the restrictions that you have with a pre-made piece of fabric. So like I said, you could either cut the fabric down to size, like I've done, or you could print a whole piece of fabric and then cut the size you need out of it, and then you can really determine how your pattern's going to look, and you can cut out the piece of fabric to be perfect. So I'm going to print this top row of half prints, and again, my tablecloth is just catching that excess paint that's coming off. But I've got such a smooth surface, it's making it really easy for me to print. But I would just, if I was you at home, I'd just use a piece of paper under your fabric to catch this excess paint. And then that will keep your printing surface nice and neat and clean and paint-free. So my fabric looks gorgeous and is printed all over now, and I'm absolutely over the moon with it. The pattern just gives so much colour, and the design is very forgiving. You don't notice where I've made a couple of mistakes, which I have. My spacing is a little bit off in some places, but like I said, you don't notice, which is such a nice thing about this design. printed linen is now dry. It took about 15 minutes and then I've just given it an iron to make sure that that fabric paint is set. I will probably iron it again later once I've made the cushion cover, but it's good to get a couple of heat settings in, especially as it's a cushion cover, you know, it might get dirty. I might want to wash it quite often. So I've heat set that. And while I was waiting for it to dry, I took my shorter pieces of fabric for the back and I've just done a straight stitch down both ends on the 34 centimeter width. So remember, one of my pieces is 34 by 31 and the other one is 34 by 39. So on the 34 centimeter, I've just done a double hem, so folded over twice. I've done a straight stitch down here, as that's going to give us a really nice kind of neat end to our fabric when we sew this into the cushion cover. So they'll overlap like that. So I'm going to pin mine together. So what you want to do is obviously you pin it inside out. So I've got my printed design facing up. I'm going to take my biggest piece of fabric first for the back, and I've got the kind of neat edge facing down, and I'm just going to line that up against the fabric, and then I'm going to pin that and just make sure it's as straight as you can get it. And this is where you can really kind of tweak it and play around, making sure it's all straight. So I'm just going to use a couple of pins and pin that in place. I'm going to do the same on this side. So luckily my fabric has been cut quite well. It took me a while to understand how important the fabric cutting was and to make sure I got it right. It was always the kind of tedious bit, but it's really important to do. So that's the first bit pinned. Then I'm going to take my shorter of the back panels and I'm going to put this on top. So I've probably got like a 10 centimeter overlap between them, but I find this is enough. Also, as my cushion covers are quite tight, you don't want the overlap to be too big. Otherwise, I feel like I'm pulling the fabric too much. So I'm just going to line this one up as well and pin this side. And there we go. I'm very happy with that. So it's all fitted together really well. So I'm now going to pop over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to do a straight stitch around all four sides. I've only got about a 1 centimeter seam allowance on all sides, so I sew relatively close to the edge. I would prefer to sew close to the edge and then have to go back and make it tighter rather than having to unpick a stitch if I've sewn it too tight. So I'm going to go to the sewing machine and sew around all four sides and show you what it's like when I come back. So I'm back from the sewing machine. Like I said, just a simple stitch around all four sides. Let's turn it the right way around and see how it looks. So this project probably in total takes me about half an hour. I know I might be a little bit of a quick printer, but I keep it quite rustic. I don't worry about tidying up the inside of my cushion cover unless I was going to give it to somebody as a present. But you just want to push all four corners out. And then I've got my feather insert, which again I said is from Dunelm, just £5, so cost effective and they just look fab. So I'm going to put this into my cover. So excited to see how it looks. I think this one's going to look gorgeous. And like I said, I keep my covers quite snug, but you could allow more of a seam allowance and have it a little bit looser. But there we go. There is my gorgeous hand-printed and handmade linen cushion cover. So we've got that lovely envelope opening on the back. It's just so simple, really quick to do. You know, if you wanted to add a bit more detail, I'm sure you could add a button or something, or even some ties. But for me, this is just perfect. And like I said, this is an insight into my favourite use of printing blocks, and this is a personal favourite project of mine. So I hope it has inspired you to have a go yourself. I'm going to link all the kind of measurements and where I get the linen from in the comments below on the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions, please give me a call and ask. But thanks very much for watching and happy printing.